So we are seeing Tesla stock get rejected at precisely the area I warned the Push and Profit private group about. But along with that, today we also got news that Biden supports the UAW in trying to organize Tesla and Toyota. And while I don't necessarily believe this is the main reason why Tesla stock is down, in fact, we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple of other reasons further in this video, it definitely is a contributing factor. See, what we have to understand is that essentially Biden holds the purse. And of course, what I mean by this is that Biden has the power to go ahead and spend and help Tesla, in the sense that this administration may say, hey, Tesla, if you don't have some of your workers participate in, this union, perhaps we may go ahead and reduce or stifle what you guys get for the EV tax credits. And so you guys have to comply. And so this kind of is putting a sour sentiment for a lot of market participants for Tesla, because there's this concern that now we have this administration that could potentially force Tesla or put some pressure on Tesla to join this union. But on top of that, we're also receiving bearish reports from a few analysts telling market participants that they expect to see Tesla to fall down further. Now, what we are currently seeing with Tesla is exactly what I talked about in previous videos that I published on this channel. I mentioned that I expected Tesla to have a relief, but I said a multitude of different times in previous videos that I published that I believe this relief was going to be ephemeral or provisional. It's going to be temporary. I didn't expect this to be a relief that was going to continue to sustain itself, and that is exactly what we are currently seeing. Now, when I first started mentioning this, I got a ton of emails and DMs of individuals saying I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I'm a Tesla bear, which is honestly pretty odd considering the fact that I'm actually a long-term Tesla bull. I'm in this for the long term. The only difference is a lot of individuals that cover Tesla stock, whether it be on YouTube or on X.com, formerly known as Twitter, a lot of them lie to you guys just to get views, and that's not something that I honestly subscribe to. See, I'm bullish for Tesla in the long term, but I'm not going to go ahead and tell you guys these egregious price targets for Tesla, saying that it's going to go to this level because of any significant news. I try to go ahead and tell you guys exactly what's taking place. I've tried to provide a holistic perspective, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people pretty much gravitate to the individuals that just lie to get those clicks and views. But at the end of the day, of course, I get it. People want to hear good news for Tesla. Why would you want to hear to someone, pretty much saying that, hey, this move up is temporary? Of course, I get it. So I'm not mad at any individual. It's just that when I was talking about this, I did get a lot of pushback. Now, there are some additional topics that we absolutely had to cover in regards to Tesla stock and the overall markets to really get a better perspective of what's actually taking place. But before we actually move forward in the video, I just want to provide a friendly reminder that if you have not done so already, consider tapping that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future video, and also consider checking out the links in the description below, because one of the links is going to be a link for my free weekly market pulse insights, where every single week I send out an email talking about what's going on in the overall markets. And again, it's completely free. It's going to be in the link in the description, and I'm also going to pin it in the comment section below. Now, on top of what we individually saw take place for Tesla stock, we also got news today with Jerome Powell having a speech highlighting, saying that the Federal Reserve is not confident that monetary policy is tight enough to bring down inflation. So when Jerome Powell had his speech and that comment came out of his mouth, it caused a lot of panic for the overall markets. This is why we saw the overall S&P 500 pretty much start selling off as well, which of course amplified the selling pressure for Tesla as well. Now, the reason why this caused a lot of panic for the overall markets is because the whole reason the markets started rallying up in the first place was because the markets had this kind of relief that rates were at their peak, the feds were no longer needed to hike any further, and that inflation was going to start coming downwards. And so this idea of a soft landing that the Fed has been kind of spilling out for quite some time started gaining some confidence. However, now it's kind of losing its confidence, and that's something that's causing the markets to kind of freak out a bit. And this is something that I've talked about in the past, and I've used an analogy of a car driving down a highway. See, if you're driving down a highway and you have an exit, further on down the road, and you have control and the right speed, you're confident that you're going to safely make it out that exit. Hence, kind of have that soft landing. However, as you get closer to that exit, you start realizing that maybe the control that you have or the speed that you have is not actually appropriate enough to make it safe on that exit. And so that kind of leads you down the path of maybe we're not going to have a soft landing. Maybe it's going to be a full-on recession. And so this is something I've been saying for quite some time. You know, again, when you look at the macroeconomic environment, it doesn't really spill out the idea of a soft landing. It kind of paints a picture of, hey, next year is when things are going to get tough. And I've been saying this for quite some time. However, everyone loves to believe when central bankers tell you one thing, all right? Everyone loves to believe politicians, but you always have to have your eyebrows raised, especially when you hear words come out from these central bankers. Just remember, back in 2021, when they said inflation was transitory and how completely wrong they got it on that one. Now, one of the dates that we want to really put on our calendar is November 14th, as this is when we have the consumer price index come out, or the CPI report. And again, this is an inflationary gauge, and so we want to see what ends up happening when this report comes out, because if we end up seeing that inflation is showing signs of cooling off, kind of what the Federal Reserve is wanting, well, then this could kind of dampen the idea of, you know, further hikes. However, if we don't see any cooling off in inflation and it's still pretty stubborn and sticky, well, that's when things get a little bit more concerning for the overall markets, and that could potentially ruin the whole historic Santa Claus rally. And so that's something that we absolutely want to pay attention to, so make sure to mark your calendars for November 14th. But now, since we're on the topic of marking down our calendars, consider marking down the date November 11th, because that's when the Push and Profit Private Group coupon link expires. And again, this is one of the largest sales that we've had all year, and so if you ever had any interest of joining the Push and Profit Private Group, where every single day the market's open, I provide a daily briefing of what's currently taking place and what are some stocks I'm looking to trade and the reason behind it, then again, check out that link in the description below, and that's going to be the first link down below. Now, I also want to highlight this tweet from Gary Black, who is a fund manager who is very vocal on Tesla and actually a big Tesla bull as well. He ended up saying yesterday that the global EV adoption continues to increase and hit a record of 11.8% in the third quarter, which is up from 10.7% in the second quarter and up from 10.1% in the third quarter of last year. He goes on to say that the mainstream narrative that EV adoption is suddenly stalling is complete nonsense. He goes on to say that we expect global EV adoption to reach 13% in 2023 fourth quarter, up from 11.2% in 2002. I think that's a typo. I think he meant to say up from 2022's fourth quarter. And so the reason why I wanted to go ahead and highlight that tweet from Gary Black is simply because, yes, we do have some challenging times for Tesla. There's no denying that. Of course, it's just a challenging time for the overall economy. And of course, all the stocks, right? A lot of companies are going to definitely take a hit, especially as we move into the first and second quarter of next year, where that's where I expect the real pain to take place. However, one thing that we are seeing is that the EV adoption trend is actually still growing at an exponential rate. It's still kind of climbing upwards. And so this is actually good. And so this is one of the reasons why I am still bullish on Tesla in the long term. Yes, things are going to look kind of crazy going into the future in the next few months, but if you're investing in Tesla for the long term, we're actually going to have a great opportunity to go ahead and buy these lows for Tesla. Again, this is not personalized financial advice. This is just what I'm seeing take place with the trends for EVs, and again, what we're seeing in the macroeconomic environment. So I think this is going to provide a great opportunity for those that are patient. Again, those who are patient are often rewarded, especially when it comes to the stock market. And obviously, those who have been patient in the past for Tesla can testify that Tesla has definitely been a great stock to hold on to. Now, again, for those that do trade in the short term, there are also going to be several great trading opportunities as well. And so this is going to provide a great opportunity for everyone in the markets. It's just being able to understand what is currently taking place. But with that said, I'll continue to monitor what's going on with the overall markets as well as what's taking place for Tesla stocks. So again, just a friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. And as far as looking at Tesla from a technical perspective only, that $195 price area is an area that could be a potential support for Tesla. However, if Tesla ends up breaking below that area, well, things could get much more concerning. Now, of course, the reason why I'm highlighting that $195 price level is simply because when you look at the technicals, there's a lot of volume relative to price around over here, meaning that there's a lot of exchanging between buyers and sellers, and so that could provide a bit of a cushion, but again, it doesn't mean that it can't break down below. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and want to pay attention to that area. But with that said, hopefully you guys found some value in this video. And before you guys go, I'll catch you guys on this next video right over here, where I talk about why you should never trade penny stocks. Or if you've already seen that video, I'll catch you guys on this video right over here.